Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I am looking a little spooky tonight, so I thought it was the perfect time to finally do my goth tag. Oh, ouch. Finally time to do my goth tag that I got tagged in a while back from Sanniz, and she also tagged Aura from Aura's Cult Sanctuary, and they already did theirs, but I wanted to do mine in October for spooky season, so here we are. So this is called Goth Tag, and I have the questions here. I will put them below too. If you want to do it, feel free to do it and tag me, tag Sanniz, tag Aura. I will tag them below, and I will also put links to their channels and the questions that they answered. I think that's everybody who did it. I think it was just the three of us. There may be more people who did this. As far as people I know, we did that. By the way, I am Mare, if you're new here. I am an elder goth from way back in the day. Way. I need a lot of coffee, and I also need some booze in here to talk about this stuff. Let me tell you, we're going back in the Wayback Machine. I am a retired makeup artist, hairstylist, esthetician, and nail tech, and now I live on a mountain in the middle of nowhere with a bunch of crazy animals and a ghost husband. Ghost husband is real. He's here. He's on this plane of existence. We just don't see him a lot. He appears and then magically, poof, he's gone for a long time. Anyway, so these are the goth tag questions. Number one, how long have you been goth? Mid-80s. I want to say like 1984, 84, 85. That's when I really started getting into it. It might have been a little earlier, like 82, 83. I kind of like was feeling it out and I kind of knew what it was, but it was in wait. Now I have to do math. Oh no, I suck at math these days. Yeah, 1983. Holy crap. 1983 was when I first dyed my hair burgundy, pissed my mom off, and somehow in 1983, when I was in only 7th grade, I found a pair of pleather pants at the mall that I was wearing. And trust me, in 1983, showing up in the Metro Detroit suburbs in pleather pants and burgundy hair, what? People were freaked out. 2, how were you introduced to goth? I don't really remember. I think it was the record store that I used to go to by my mom and dad. There was a guy who worked there who was really cool, and he introduced me to a lot of the bands. He would say, you know, oh, you should check this band out, you should check this band out. I started finding like the zines, if you know what the zines are, the old goth magazines that would show up. Sometimes they'd show up at record stores. They were printed so crappy. Oh my god, the old zines. Sometimes I found those. There was like a Gothic beauty magazine way back then that was really hard to get. I think it was maybe based in Europe. It was really hard to get. I saw a couple of things at bookstores like that at like, you know, like Borders or Barnes and Noble or something way back in the day. I can't remember, were those even around? I would see like magazines. There were a couple of people I met who worked at record stores. There was Record Time and I'm trying to remember all the record stores. Record Time was the big one. There was this little tiny record store by my mom and dad's house though that I always would ride my bike to or walk to. And then I started going to Royal Oak and Noir Leather, which came up in conversation in one of my videos recently. And I am a Noir Leather kid from Royal Oak, Michigan, from way back. I'm not from Royal Oak, but I would go there and hang out all the time. I was one of the punk kids that sat out front with safety pins all over my jacket and all the DIY homemade stuff, cutting up t-shirts, sticking safety pins through them, the whole deal. Number 3, what Gothic subgenre would you put yourself in? That's hard to say. I kind of switched. I switched up a lot. Really, I started out in like 1983 was Adam and the Ants, and I loved like the new romantic, that piratey highwayman kind of thing. And then I got really into the Mission, well, Sisters of Mercy, and then after Wayne left the Mission, and Fields of the Nephilim I loved. So then I got kind of in that dark, spooky cowboy goth, which I still love. I love the Fields of the Nephilim aesthetic. Just that Carl, to this day, the singer of Fields of the Nephilim, love. And I also was into the vampire subculture, obviously. Like, who wasn't? Still to this day, probably my favorite. That was another way I got into goth, was I read a lot of horror novels. I read Stephen King, I read Clive Barker, I read Anne Rice. When Interview with the Vampire came out, and Vampire Lestat, all those, I had every single one of them. The second they would come out, I'd go to the bookstore, I'd read them cover to cover, read all the vampire books. I loved all the Clive Barker horror novels. I was a horror movie junkie too, so I kind of watched all the Stephen King movies, all the spooky movies. So I kind of, was a little into like horror goth too. I would say movies were also an influence, but more like books, you know, because I read all of those before they were ever movies. I read Interview with the Vampire when it came out, and I also liked comic books. I loved the Sandman from whatever night that was later, but Sandman comics and Love and Rockets comics. God, I can't think of all of them now. What's the other one I liked? Well, The Crow. And I loved when the Crow movie came out. Holy crap. Everybody wanted to be like the Crow. I would say those are kind of the subgenres. I did get a little into the kind of punk rock subgenre for a while, like punk goth, really like vampire goth, a little bit of the cowboy goth, Fields of the Nephilim, the cowboy hats, the big long oilcloth coats, riding boots, stuff like that. I like that a lot. 4, what do you believe to be the basis of the Gothic subculture? There's a lot of discussion about this. For me, it was literature, I would say. Literature, art, and music. Those are the basis for me. Everybody feels differently about it. The fashion is really just an expression of what I would read in books and the art I would see, and like the whole like art, like photography of Gothic cathedrals and spooky cemeteries with the fog and that kind of thing, So for me though, it was the literature. I love all the writers like... Did you ever see the movie Gothic? There was a movie called Gothic, and it was one of my favorite movies, and I was kind of obsessed with it in a crazy way. I was just so obsessed with that movie. It had to do with the Percy Bysshe Shelley and Mary Shelley, Frankenstein. I love the Gothic literature. Love Dracula, love Frankenstein, the goth romanticism kind of novels like that. For me, that was... really, I think because that's all I had back then. I had the books and the literature, and then there was the music kind of came along and the movies. And so when I say art, I just don't mean like art on walls, but the NiteMare, the painting, the NiteMare, which coincidentally, I grew up in Detroit, Detroit suburb, and went to the Detroit Institute of Arts a lot. Did you know that the painting, the NiteMare, is in the collection at the Detroit Institute of Arts? All through high school, I used to just go to the... DIA. I used to hang out in the Gothic cathedral area and be spooky, and I used to just sit there and stare at the painting of the NiteMare because I couldn't believe that they actually had this painting that all these goths were like the painting of the NiteMare. It's so cool. And it was in our art institute in Detroit, so that was pretty cool. What do you dislike about being goth? Nothing. Nothing. I won't even say people not understanding it because I really don't care if they do or not. I like it. I would say the only thing I dislike about it is people gatekeeping, and that's a whole other subject. The gatekeeping is ridiculous. Back when I was a goth, there was no gatekeeping. It was kind of a free-for-all. It was like if you liked the music, if you read, it was like, I loved The Damned, so the whole vampire Dave Vanian, the white streaks through his hair. Oh, God. Oh, so hot. All the pale boys with long black hair and crystal blue eyes or spooky eyes and wearing black and lace and all. Loved everything about that. The only thing I dislike about it is the generations now that are around trying to gatekeep it, saying you're not goth if you don't listen to this list of bands. You're not goth if you don't wear these things. You're not goth if you buy Killstar and you don't make your own clothes. You're not goth if you don't like this movie. Or you're not goth if you haven't read this book. I mean, that's just, it's a load of shit, okay? It's a load of bullshit. None of that. That's all internet created. That is all. The gatekeeping did not happen back when I grew up, and I've really only seen it since the dawn of social media. The gatekeeping wasn't ever a thing. It was, we are all a bunch of weirdos. We all embrace this weirdness, and everybody had like an appreciation. At least I was lucky. A lot of people all had an appreciation for the bizarre, for people being different. And we all kind of banded together like the little weirdo groups and things. And we were like, yeah, we're a bunch of weirdos. What are you going to do? We stick together. We're friends, whatever. So the gatekeeping, I hate. I'm like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of thing. Like I always say, why do you want to gatekeep when you're trying to be like kids who are trying to gatekeep? And it's always the younger generations. They're trying, you don't see elder goths gatekeeping, do you? No, you don't. Kids, baby bats, listen up. You wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for us. You wouldn't. We were here before there was social media. We were here before there was internet. There was no internet. That's not how I found goth. I found goth in the library. I found goth at the record store. You don't... just stop. Just stop. Like, realize that we're all on the same side and everyone has their own form of self-expression. Goth to me is a form of self-expression. You can't gatekeep another person's self-expression. So stop it. Don't make me come over there. Don't make me come out there. I'll come out there and I'll kick your butt. All right, where are we now? 6. What do your parents think of it? Well, I've talked about this in other videos. The first time I remember coming downstairs and I was going out and I had like the black, black on my cheeks, like gray, the black eyes, black lips, just like super scary looking. I walked downstairs and my dad saw me and said, "Why do you want to make yourself look ugly?" And I actually talked to him about this recently when I was back in Michigan. And I said, well, I don't see it as ugly. I see, wait, my sign back here. There is no beauty without some strangeness. And that's what I think. I find the beauty in strangeness. I find the beauty in sometimes the grotesque and the weird. And I don't know, there can be beauty in anything. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. That's what I told my dad. I said, you might think this is ugly. I have friends who think it's hot and gorgeous and wonderful and beautiful. And there's a thing called Gothic beauty. They don't call it Gothic ugly. They call it Gothic beauty because a lot of people see the beauty in it. So my mom was like, it's a phase. And I think she said it's a phase for about 10 years. It's a phase. So my joke now is, well, now my mom sadly RIP no longer with us, but my dad still is. He just celebrated his 92nd birthday recently on October 10th. And happy birthday, Dad. Love you. I love that I'm this weird and you still love me with all your heart and soul. My dad thinks I'm beautiful now. He saw me in my Scarlet Witch makeup and he was just like, wow. It's really cool that he sees, I think before he couldn't see me behind the makeup and now I've just gotten to a point where it's part of my self-expression. So people see me through the makeup. If you're just hiding behind the makeup, it's different. My parents have always been really supportive, but they did spend about a decade or two saying it's a phase. Now I love saying I'm 53. It's not a phase. It's me. That's who I am. This is how I'm happy. I'm glowing because I love this makeup. I love the lip. I love the pale. I love the spiky headband and the doom. I love it. Eyebrows or no eyebrows? Okay, well, I go back and forth on that. I really do. Right now, I don't have any eyebrows drawn on. I mean, you can see a little bit of my eyebrows, and I kind of like it now. But for a while, I was like, oh my God, I can't do the no eyebrows. I prefer to have very little eyebrows like this. That way, if I want eyebrows, I can draw them on, and I love doing the crazy vampire eyebrows and things. I can draw them on, or I can go like this and just have like, I say minimalist eyebrows. We'll say that. Minimalist eyebrows. I did the no eyebrow thing, and I looked scary. It does not look good on me. No. Doesn't look good on me. Some people look great. Jane looks great with no... I can't imagine Jane with eyebrows. I really can't. Me with no eyebrows, though, I don't look right. I don't know. I think it's because of my bone structure. I need something here because of my bone structure, and I have a very high forehead. I'm like, high forehead you can show movies on, which I embrace now. I actually love my forehead. I used to hate it, and now I really like it. So, I don't mind the no eyebrows or the minimalist eyebrows like this, especially because I wear glasses. So you can't always see my eyebrows anyway because my glasses are kind of in the way. So it's kind of like whatever. 8. What's your favorite band? Easy, Sisters of Mercy. But it's kind of a tie. It's like Sisters of Mercy, Fields of the Nephilim. It was always Bauhaus, and then I really got into Tones on Tail, obviously. Then I really got into Love and Rockets. Love and Rockets is a lot more like cutesy. Everybody was like, what happened to you? I would say hands down, all-time favorite band, Sisters of Mercy. Fields of the Nephilim is very close second. Believe it or not, I love Tool. Obsessed with Tool. I saw them live. Oh my God. I love Tool. I love their aesthetic. I love their music. I know it's like prog rock, but Sober is probably one of my all-time favorite songs. Oh, and Killing Joke. I love Killing Joke. I saw them at St. Andrews Hall. I love them. But yes, we'll just go with Sisters of Mercy. That's always a safe bet, isn't it? In Nephilim, love the Damned, there's so many bands I love. I love Susie, of course. Where am I? 9. Your opinion on Marilyn Manson. I liked the band back in the day, but I never really separated Marilyn Manson from his band. It was like, we're going to go see Marilyn Manson. We're going to go get the new Marilyn Manson album. We're going to listen to the new Marilyn Manson. It was the music. It wasn't ever just about him. I was into the band almost more than just the guy, you know, Brian Warner, whatever is it, from Ohio by me. He grew up like not far from where I was from. I'm like, I think he was from Ohio, right? I'm pretty sure. Anyway, I liked a lot of the stuff he did back in the 90s. I loved Beautiful People is like one of my favorite songs. I love that song. And I love that era of Marilyn Manson because it was a very specific time and place in my life. It was in like early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, I think, is when I really was into him. Then after that, I just lost track of him and I really didn't follow him anymore. And it was like, I really have no real opinion on him. I mean, there's a lot of weirdness going on with his life and I really don't follow it because I liked that. I forgot the name of the stupid album. Oh my god. But it had the Beautiful People on it, that one. And I liked that album and that was about it for me and Marilyn Manson, honestly. 10, what were your baby bat days like? I was never really a baby bat. I mean, I was a... I talked about it already of how did I discover it. It was very lonely. I was the only person who was into goth and all this stuff. My friends were supportive. My friends were like, Angela, hi, Mike and Angela, and my friends, Chris, like the friends that I had were very, very supportive, and other Mike and other Mike, and Rob, and there were friends who were so supportive of me, but none of them were goth. None of them were, they liked some of the music and stuff, but none of them were into the style and the fashion and all and the literature and the whole genre like I was. And so it was lonely. We had no internet. Internet did not exist, children. No internet, no forums, no chat, no cell phones, no anything. Yeah, so it was pretty lonely, actually. I was very depressed. I've never talked about it. I'll talk about it in a future video. I don't want to in this one. But I was very depressed and I was not a happy person because I was really lonely. And I just, I felt like I was an alien. There was nobody. I heard at one point that there was a girl somewhere who lived within maybe a half an hour of me who had a mohawk, and I was like the most thrilled I'd ever been. I'm like, I must find her, I must meet her. She has a mohawk. Because I did. I had like the crazy mohawk and was like really wacky. I looked like some kind of crazy rooster or something. But yeah, I spent a lot of time alone. I spent a lot of time in my room just being very mopey, very moody, very depressed. I was a very depressed kid. Very depressed little baby bat goth. It was because I had no community. I had nobody to talk to. I had nobody to share my passion with. I had, other than the people at the record store, I'd be like, this song's so cool. But I had nobody to, who really got it. So that's another reason I say, the gatekeeping, don't do it. I mean, appreciate what you have. You have this wonderful thing called the internet. And I said this in one of my other videos. Use it to your advantage. Don't use it to be a jackass. Stop using the internet to be assholes. I'm sorry. Just stop. Because I didn't have that back then. And it's kind of a miracle that I'm still here. Because I tried to not be here. If you get my drift. Things I can't say on YouTube. I almost was not here. In fact, I've never talked about it, but I have a lot of scars on my arms and on my legs. I have permanent scars from things that happened when I was younger, if you know what I'm saying. And like I said, I don't want to go really deep into that now. I might talk about that someday. But I went through all that. I was very, very depressed. I was very sad. I did not want to stick around because I just felt like nobody understood me, and why am I here, and this world is miserable, and everything's miserable, and everything's dark, and I just want to like go to sleep in a coffin and never wake up, man. And I didn't have any reason to. I mean, my parents, my family loved me. I had a great family. I have a great family, most amazing parents in the world, but I was just really bummed, and I didn't have support. I got bullied a lot. I got called names a lot. I got beat up. I got kicked. I got knocked down and kicked in the side of the head. Permanently messed up this ear. Ear's never been the same since somebody pushed me down outside a club and kicked me in the side of the head. I refused to fight back, so I just kind of like curled up on the ground because I was really shy and withdrawn. So somebody picked on me, and then I found out that the whole reason she picked on me was another girl picked on me because she confused me with somebody else who she thought was hitting on her boyfriend. And then she found out I wasn't even that person, but first she beat the crap out of me. So that kind of sucked. But yeah, so but in school I got called a lot of names. There were hallways I didn't want to walk down because people would yell things at me and say things, and I would dread if I had to walk down certain hallways because I would just like put my head down, hide behind my folder, and go as fast as I could to my class. So I did not have a good youth as far as like that went, and my psyche was a mess. My soul and my heart was a mess. It was not good. I'm just lucky I had a family who loved me and parents who loved me. And I did have great friends. Don't get me wrong. I had great friends, close friends, but I still felt very alone because when you're into something like goth and you have no one to talk to about it, and you're young and you don't really understand why you're obsessed with everyone's like, why are you obsessed with death and ghosts and spooky stuff? And I'm like, I don't know, help me. And nobody could help me, so I had to figure it out on my own. But I found my way to some cool people, and I stuck around, thank goodness, because now I'm here talking to you about it. So I think that's it. Sanniz, you can follow on Twitter, Sanniz L, Sannizl, and she put my name on Instagram is Sanniz, Sanniz 1968. And also linked below, so check them out. That was my Goth Tag Questions, finally, and I'm looking like myself, my gothy self. Okay, I'm gonna go wash this makeup off. It's very late. What time is it? It wouldn't even be answering Goth Tag if it wasn't 1 in the morning. It's 1 in the morning. I'm gonna go take this face off and get ready for bed, although I really do like it, so kind of sad to see it go. But I got a lot of good pictures. I will see you in the next video. Thank you, Sanniz, for the questions, and talk to me below in the comments. Be sure you like and subscribe. If you are a baby bat, consider me your Auntie Mare, your fairy goth mother. Feel free to talk to me, reach out, ask me questions. If you have a family or friends who are being stupid to you, being assholes to you, being jerks to you, you are not alone. Look at me. No, don't look at me. Ooh, scary. Ooh. Like, do I have to look at you? See, I have a lot of self-deprecating humor. The reason why is because I always say to people, look, you can't bully me, you can't put me down, because I've heard it all and I've said it all to myself, which is actually kind of sad. I used to look in the mirror at myself and say, I hate you. Why are you here? Why are you alive? Why are you here? I hate you so much. And I used to say that to my own reflection in the mirror. So it took me a long time to get to where I'm like the happy goth who is in the best years of their life now. So you can get there. It's just, you got to hang on. You got to tie a knot in the rope and hang on for dear life and look for your people, find people who support you, find people who love you. But there are those people. You just have to look for them. And hopefully I can be one of those for you. And I am always here, and I will see all of you in the next video. Why am I drinking coffee? When it's 1 in the morning.